Joselina, lovely to see you again. If you could just introduce yourself and your role, that would be great.
Thank you, Tom. It's amazing to actually be here, finally face to face in Chicago. So I'm Joselina Peralta. I'm the founder and CEO of Stractix. And essentially, we're a practice-led consulting firm. So I built Stractix because I wanted to be the partner that I wish that I had when I was actually in those roles. So I've been privileged enough to have served in the procurement and supply chain space, from a buyer to a CPO, from a planner to a chief supply chain officer, and also got the role of the COO. And I understand the challenge of dealing with the politics while you have to deliver. So one of the things that I thought that it was missing, at least for me, it was that I work with all consulting companies, and of course they're awesome, but I felt that they were more focused on the theory and on the diagnostics, some of the prescription, but not so much on the execution. And one of the biggest challenge when you are in that hot seat is that how do you communicate that narrative to the higher ups without necessarily creating blame or negligence, that why you didn't raise this sooner or why this was not actually, addressed or, executed properly to the point to prevent whatever situation is happening in your reality. And one of the things that I realized that first you need to create that narrative so they break that or broker that sponsorship between their company to actually then evolve collectively together. And that was the reason why Stractix was so important, because not only were people first focused, but also we want to make sure that we help navigate the politics, so then we clear that out of the way, so then they can get the sponsorship and support that they need, so then we can launch into execution.
Fantastic. That's a great answer. And you were obviously involved earlier today in one of our sessions at Procurement and Supply Chain Live. Tell us about your session. What were the main topics? What key themes kind of emerged?
So my session was a little bit thought-provoking because it was asking a fundamental question. How do we can shift from a vendor relationship, which has been traditionally really in procurement, to a partnership advantage? And why the CPO, the Chief Procurement Officer, should actually stand for Chief Partnership Officer, which is kind of like common sense and obvious, but why is it that we don't do that? And it's an interesting answer as I dig into the preparation for this. It's really rooted in control. When you think about legacy procurement, it was actually built to standardize cost, to actually make sure that you minimize risk. It was a function of finance. It was actually not necessarily designed to build trust. And the world has changed dramatically. Oh, my God, since the pandemic to now, volatility with tariffs, instability with climate, we have geopolitical, issues everywhere. It's a landmine. So if you put all of that in the right focus, at the end of the day, nobody can actually do it alone. So the next currency into the future, or the future that we're actually called to live right now, it's not tech. It's not even geographical advantage. It's actually partnership, because without having the right people to actually co-invest in your business, it doesn't matter if you have the right advantage geographically or technologically, you cannot move unless your ecosystem moves with you and for you, and vice versa. So that was the topic today. I got a lot of mixed reactions. People were like, approaching me, oh my God, we want to partner with you. We really want to work with you. And some people were actually a little bit still struggling with the fact that how does this work in practice? How can you execute that, right? And there's, of course, it starts with the maturity level. Where are you? How do they perceive you? What values do you have? Are you planning to really, invest and grow? What's your aspiration, really? This interesting thing is that we do this in our daily lives. When we select our spouses, when we actually work with our friends. If you're not growing and nurturing that relationship, you tend to fall apart. The challenge is, I don't know why people don't make that connection, which is so obvious, in their professional business partnerships. So yeah, it's an interesting topic. I'm still having some conversations, and I'm sure we're gonna get some more.
Absolutely. Some really interesting thoughts and kind of comparisons there. That's great, Joselina. Thank you. So that was kind of more on the session itself, but the event as a whole, what have you made of it so far?
I love it. I think the caliber and the quality of the people that I have run into it since yesterday and today has been absolutely amazing. Forward-thinking people eager to actually get in there and do the best and share knowledge, information, connections, right? So I think you guys assemble absolutely amazing, from all parts, different industries, and everybody's really eager to collaborate. And that's what we need at this moment. I think you guys provide a platform that connects people in a way that I think it makes it easy, right? So it doesn't matter whether we are competing or whether we're collaborating. Everybody's so open and welcoming. And I would say thank you guys for creating these events where people can actually learn together, build together, and also challenge each other, right? So you get a lot of information, a lot of good connections. Plus, it's a nice, scenic place where you have delightful food and you get to actually work with your organization, which everybody from top to bottom is amazingly to work with.
Fantastic to hear. Music to our ears. And I guess what I would ask, kind of following on nicely from that, is the benefits really. What benefits do you feel there are when it comes to bringing sustainability on one side together with procurement supply chain?
So it's huge because, I am probably biased since my career is more focused on procurement and supply chain. I do not see the separation. I think the minute that you decide to design a product or a service, it starts with that where is it going to be? How is it going to be executed and delivered? Where are your customers? So essentially, every decision that you make is a sustainability decision, right? Ethical sourcing part of it, the labor aspect of it, the social justice aspect of it. How is it going to be transported, right? So the carbon emissions. So scope 1, 2, 3 are part from your inbound, right? So process on how do you produce and deliver the goods. So plan, source, make, deliver. But also your suppliers, your tier 1s, your tier 2s, the tier 2s of the tier 1 of your suppliers. And also making sure that everybody has the awareness and the education. So I would say, to me, it's all part of the same. And I would say something a little bit maybe thought-provoking and challenging. I do believe that not into distant future, that sustainability, ideally you want it to be the agenda of the CEO or the agenda or the COO. If it's not, then it should be a co-share agenda with the chief supply chain officer or the chief procurement officer. And I will say one more, the chief technology officer has to be right there with you, because without the technology, how are you going to track the carbon impact, right? So inaccurately report on that. So I don't see the segregation. I see that there's actually more overlapping and integration needed, because it's like, your left hand has to know what your right hand is doing. And in fact, they have to be in harmony and alignment with each other.
Fantastic. A great way of describing it. And just finally, what would be, if you could give one, your key takeaway or maybe a key piece of advice that you'd give to procurement and supply chain professionals as they leave the event?
I think the first thing is that they need to talk more about the value, and also don't see themselves as tactical or transactional. To break away from that loop of negotiating deals and actually finding where the growth opportunities are going to come. I think procurement has been underrated, not only by external functions and stakeholders, but by the professionals themselves. Myself, I've been guilty of that more than once. And I think it's more about recognizing that we are the growth engine, that companies need to get that optimization to reinvest in their business. So in fact, we are the ones who broker the deals, we're the ones who broker the partnerships, we're the ones who broker the insights and the intelligence and the trends. So own it. Enjoy it. Go and tell the world about it, and don't stop until you get enough support, then can rally around it. So I would say be resilient and actually just be the voice that actually represents that procurement and supply chain are the change, and therefore the growth for companies alongside with sustainability, because of course the planet is not waiting for us anymore.